Step number 1, remove the Allen bolts. The bolts on my bike are 8mm, and you use a hex wrench or Allen wrench like this and turn counterclockwise on both the drive side and the non-drive side. Let's go ahead and do that. You can use the crank arm as leverage, and it might be easier to first remove the pedals. Okay, so to remove the crank, now that we got the pedals off, we use this tool here. It's called the crank puller tool. This is the CCP-22 Park Tool. It's got this nut on the end here, and I can take it off here. And what we want to do with this piece here of the crank puller is we want to thread it onto the crank. Be careful not to cross the threads, strip the threads or anything, so just spin it on here clockwise, slowly, make sure you get it on right, and just screw it down all the way on here. So let's go ahead and do that. Sort of feel for it here, get a feel for it. Okay, so I'm screwing it on. Getting all the way in there. Okay, I can't go any further. So now I'm going to use the crank puller tool here. I'm going to put it in there onto the nut. Let's screw it on to the nut. Let's keep going all the way onto the nut, which is on the crank. Okay. Okay, so now what we want to do, now that it's all sort of on here sort of tight, we want to tighten that nut down with a wrench. So I got a wrench here, and we want to just make sure it's on nice and tight so nothing's going to move around. So I got a 7/8 inch wrench. It's just what happens to fit this this nut. So let's go ahead and get it on there. Make sure it's on nice and tight. Okay, so now what we want to do is we just keep turning this crank puller tool until, it breaks free, essentially. So we just want to keep going. All right. Getting it. Eventually it'll get easier. Just keep going. And now it's easy. Woo! And now the crank will just fall right off, basically. On a Octolink or something, Shimano, bottom bracket type, you got to be careful because it has spleens rather than square taper like this, and you don't really want to pull it off straight or push it on hard when you're putting it on. You want to sort of wiggle it. So let's just as a, just to sort of show you what you're supposed to do, you just sort of wiggle it, and it will come off there. That just came off real easily. So you just want to be careful when you're messing around with stuff like that. So we got the crank off. Woohoo! All right, so to remove this, how do we get this thing off? Well, we need to just back it out, just counterclockwise. Let's get the puller arm off of here. Repeat this task on the other side. We just got the arm on this side. You can now see the bottom bracket spindle. Hence, square taper, it's square. There's the bottom bracket. Let's go ahead and use this tool again. Same deal, let's just screw it on straight. Screw the nut on straight here. Try not to force it. Yeah, it seems like it's going on. Okay. Went on pretty good. Let's tighten that nut down with the wrench. Get it on the flats. Use the crank arm as leverage. Just get it on there nice and tight. Doesn't have to be super tight, I guess. Just removing it and not putting it on. When you put all this stuff on, you do want to put some pretty strong force into it, but we're not doing that in this video just yet. So now just screw this on. Nope, can't go any farther. So now we'll just keep going that leverage going. Just keep going, keep going, keep going. I could probably whack it with a mallet if I had to. It takes a little bit of strength. It will get easier once it gets loose, and it is loose now. So now that it's loose, yep, just pull it right off. And to remove this tool, counterclockwise, counterclockwise. I'm trying to show you with the camera. Okay, there it goes. So just unscrew that off of there. We got both our crank arms off now. And now we can remove the bottom bracket.